I sent an email out a couple of weeks ago asking if there was anyone who would like some help with their finances, and I got a response from a lovely lady who was just about to start in private practice, and she just had loads of questions about getting started and making sure that everything was set up correctly right from the start. And I just really loved what she sent to me in her request. So I met up with her and we had a really good discussion all about finances in private practice, and we talked about some other things as well. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Kim. I help therapists in private practice get online, get confident with admin, and reduce tech overwhelm. So in this interview, we talked about things from setting up as a sole trader, bank accounts, what types of things you can expense in private practice, some of my key recommendations for managing finances in private practice. And so in a minute, we're going to jump straight to that interview, and I really think you're going to find it useful. The person who I was coaching did ask to remain anonymous because she does have a full-time job already and she's just about to set up in private practice. So she didn't necessarily want her face all over the internet so that her employer could potentially find it. So you will be able to hear her voice but not specifically see her. I don't think that takes away from the actual content of the video though, so I really hope you find it useful. If you are looking to streamline and manage your own finances in private practice, I do have a sole trader bookkeeping template for sale, and if you purchase it by the end of this month, which is April 2024, you will be invited to a free co-working workshop where I'll be able to show you how to use the spreadsheet, and we'll be able to input your first months of the 24-25 tax year into the spreadsheet, so you're off to a good start. I'll leave a link in the description for that below. But for now, let's get straight into the coaching. Hi Annie, thanks so much for joining me today.
Hi Kim, yeah, it's really nice to be here.
Oh, awesome. Okay, so today we are going to be doing some kind of like financial coaching. So if you just hit me with some questions and then we can just talk, after that, and I can help you as much as I can.
So basically, I am at the beginning of my private practice, and I'm kind of trying to understand what my business model will be and how to organize the private practice. So I guess I personally have at the moment chosen sole trader because I'm also employed, and I was wondering if that's a good solution. And I'm thinking also, what are the boundaries in terms of times when I need to apply for the sole trader? What are the financial tax years and all these kind of things? So I would like to know like the nitty-gritty details of what you need to pay attention to.
Sure, okay. So when it comes to a sole trader, you are basically just saying that you are going to earn some money. So if you have a job already, that's fine. You're just earning additional money on the side. So that could be, for doing anything. So when you do that, the tax year runs from the 6th of April one year to the 5th of April the next year. And so what you would need to do is you would need to declare what you have earned in that year by the 31st of January the following year. So you've got quite a lot of time to tell them. So let's take last year. The tax year is just about to end now. So you've got the 6th of April 2023 to the 5th of April 2024, and then you've got till the 31st of January 2025 to tell the HMRC what you have earned that year. So you've got quite a lot of time. You should tell HMRC that you need to do a self-assessment by October of the year you start, really. So if you start like now, let's say you're going to open your practice in a couple of weeks, you should tell them by October that you are going to need to do a self-assessment. So I actually think it's October the year after, but I would just do it as soon as possible, just so that it's got all your ducks in a row. And then also then it's going to need to send you login details and, what's it called, a UTR, so a unique tax reference. So you need that information. So I would just make sure that I had all of that really in advance so that you can do your tax return.
Yeah, and then a question around that. What are the expenses that as a therapist I can claim as a sole trader? Is there a difference between a sole trader and a limited company or not?
So with regards to expenses, there's not really any difference in what you can claim. It's basically anything you need for business use. So you sent me a list of your current expenses. They are all perfectly fine and would be perfectly fine if you were a sole trader or a limited company. The only thing I would add on to that is your phone, because you would need your phone to run a business. So some people say that you should have like a second phone, or you can put half the bill towards it. I just claim for my full phone bill, and then I have a separate phone for personal. I just have a separate SIM card, not a separate phone. But I charge like my whole bill because, you know, if I didn't have my phone, I wouldn't be able to run my business. So you could add your phone into that. Other than that, you've got things like the ICO, which we talked about, business insurance. So you're definitely going to want to get business insurance even as a sole trader.
Business insurance, that's the balance, and that's basically my therapy. Okay,
yeah. So there are a few specifically that I know work with therapists in private practice. So there's a balance, tower, something. What was it? Yes, that one, and Hiscox as well. So if you search for any of them, just to get some quotes, but I would ring them up and make sure that you're getting covered with whatever you need to be covered for. So just tell them what you're going to be doing, and then they'll tell you which insurance you'll need. So yeah, you'll definitely need business insurance. Supervision. You are still a student, right? So you can also claim your own therapy because it is part of your training. So you have to do it. But once you qualify, you can't claim for that anymore. So you can claim for supervision, but not your own therapy. Because currently it's part of your training, you have to do it. But going forward, it's not like a requirement.
Okay, I didn't know that. Thanks for that. And then in terms of invoicing, I guess I did have a look at what you're writing, but as I'm thinking, I might be working with people outside of the UK.
Okay.
I would probably need some kind of an online platform for money transfers, and so I'm wondering. Many people recommend Stripe. I think lately PayPal has been kind of not going on a good voice. So I'm just wondering, what's your experience with the people that you worked with, and and would you recommend?
Yeah, so most people I work for, they either do manual invoicing, so that's where we literally just create an invoice on like an Excel doc or something like that and then send it to the client to pay, or they use Stripe. We don't really use anything else. Stripe's I think it's a really good platform. I think they pay you quite quickly, and the more you use them, the quicker they pay you as well. So for example, I just started my membership and they've just released now 1-day payments. So before I was on 7-day payments, which means the money comes into your account and 7 days later you get it. But now I'm on 1-day payments, which is great. So that I'm getting, paid as you use it, you get paid quicker. But there are fees involved in that. And I know you said to me in your onboarding, in your form, that you were looking at Starling as a bank account.
Yes, that's what that's basically what I want to do today, but I wasn't sure because there is a sole trader and a personal account, and I'm thinking I would maybe want a personal one, but I don't know what's a better solution.
Yeah, that's fine. So I would recommend going for the sole trader one, because you might as well. Then you're covered as well, because they do say that a personal account should just be for personal use. And if they find out that you're using it for business, they could shut it down. I've never known anybody, any bank, shut down a personal account, but they've got a sole trader option. It's the same thing. It's completely free as well. There's no bank fees, there's nothing like that, and it's free to open. So I would go for the sole trader because that's what you're going to be using it for. They also have something called the business toolkit as well, and you can invoice through them. So I think it's around £7 a month, and then that basically does all of your accounting and invoicing as well. So you would create an invoice in the business toolkit, and then once the customer has paid it, it automatically updates your banking system. So you'll know like what invoices are outstanding and all that kind of stuff. So I would definitely look into the business toolkit. I think that would be a really good option for you as a sole trader, and £7 a month is, I think, really low for what it is that they offer, because when you look at QuickBooks and Sage, that's more than that, and so I just think it's worth it. But definitely look into it anyway.
And then if someone wants to pay me, for example, from, I don't know, Germany or Europe, let's say, do I just need to send them my account, as in like just my account number, and that's sufficient? And who then pays fees for international transfers? How does that work?
Okay, so you would need to give them your international bank account details. So when you open a Starling account, you get an international bank, I think it's called a BIC, like a BIC number or something like that. And you would just give them that. They should be able to transfer to you free of charge. But if they can't, like if their bank doesn't allow it, I personally think that should be their fee, or you should take that into account when you're setting your fees, and maybe have a different fee for international clients as opposed to local clients, just because of exchange rates and things like that. You don't have to put it up massively, but maybe add on, £5-10 to cover the fees. So I would maybe look at doing that. But with regards to transferring, I would definitely invoice them in pounds so that it's all in one currency, and I'm not sure that Starling accepts any other currency anyway, so you'd want them to be able to transfer it from whatever they're paying in £2.
Okay. And so is there anything in terms of finances that I am missing, that I need to pay attention to, when it comes to the financial side?
So my number one thing is opening your own bank account specifically for your business. That I think that's really important, to make sure that you're separating your finances straight away. Now, I know that can be difficult when you first start and you don't have clients, because you're going to have expenses that are coming out.
That's what I just wanted to ask, because as you were speaking, I was realizing I'm paying everything from my other account and I haven't been paid yet, which means that I can't really expense that. So maybe you want to answer that.
Yeah. So 2 ways you could do that. If you've got a small amount of money spare, I would put that into your business. So let's say you have £1,000, you can put £1,000 into your business. It's called like a capital investment. So basically you're putting money of your own money into the business. When you start earning a lot of money, like, a decent amount of money, and you can take it back, you don't have to pay any tax on that. So it's not revenue and expense. You would put like £1,000 in, take £1,000 out, and it kind of just cancels it out. So you don't need to kind of even record that you've had that as income and expenses, because it's just capital investment and capital return. So if you have a spare a few £100 or £1,000, I would do it that way. Put some money in so that you can cover your expenses. If not, then what I would do is keep paying it where you're paying it from at the moment. Start getting your clients to pay into the new account so that you can build up some money. But just keep a note of everything that you have paid out, because you're going to want to do that on your self-assessment. You're going to want to say, but I have paid out this money. And as long as you've got proof of everything, receipts, invoices, bank statements, that will be fine. You don't have to just say, oh, I didn't use this bank account, so I can't claim it. You absolutely can claim it. It's just going to be so much easier for you to do it out of one bank account as soon as you can.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, thank you. And then in terms of a training fees, as in like you've mentioned that that's okay, but just to double check. So if I'm paying from my clients' payments, my training fees, that's as well okay to be claimed as an expense.
Yeah, so you would need, so whatever training that you are doing towards your job, you can claim that as an expense. When it comes to, because it's like a qualification, and I think it should be okay. I'm not, like, as I said, I'm not an accountant, so I'm not 100% sure on everything. I know once you're qualified, any additional training you do, and that would include any books you buy, like subscriptions to specific magazines like Psychology Today, actual training courses or conferences, all of that stuff can be expensed. But when it comes to your actual private practice training, I would actually speak to your trainer and ask them if, or an accountant or somebody, just to find out. But I would say it probably is okay, but I'm not 100% sure on your current training, just because it's working towards you getting the qualification to be able to do your job. So I'm not 100% sure on that one, but yeah, so I would just probably just double check that with either your trainer or an accountant.
Okay. Okay. And then, and can you just tell me in terms of invoicing, because probably I'll be doing it in the beginning by, like by hand.
Yep.
Is that something that you can just like make a Word document where you say this person has paid this much towards this cost on this day?
Yep.
That's sufficient. And does it need to have my signature? What does it need to have for it to be official?
So on an invoice, you should have the person that you're invoicing, so their name, address if possible, but it's not imperative as long as it's got the person that you're invoicing. It should have the invoice date, it should have the due by date, and obviously what it is and the amount. That's kind of it. You should probably put on there your business details. So if you have a registered address, like we talked about right at the beginning, you can use your registered address. Obviously you don't have any, you know, company numbers or anything like that. It can be pretty basic, but that's what I would send as an invoice. If you're doing manual invoicing, I would really consider doing monthly invoicing rather than session by session, because otherwise you've got to create invoices every single week. It's a big admin task, even just with a couple of clients, because once you get into a process, you're just going to duplicate that all the time. And eventually you're going to have 10, 15 clients and you're doing this manually.
And is it possible to agree on 10 sessions and then write an invoice at the beginning of those 10 sessions and then
So
ask?
I would say 10 sessions a little bit much, because it's quite a big commitment for somebody to do right at the beginning. So I would stick to around 6 sessions if you're going to do blocks, which is totally fine. Just remember as well, when you're manually doing it, you have to manually remember and note down when they had those sessions. So if everyone's starting at different times, it can be hard to remember which session each person's on. That's a very manual task. Not saying not to do it, but I'm just saying you're going to have to think of a way of making sure you note down like what sessions they've had.
Yeah, and
so that.
And in terms of scheduling, because I just want to, because I've worked in some placements where they have really nice scheduling and they can then track how things work. And I wonder what's like in your experience from the people you worked with, is there anything that works really nicely and that's not too expensive to use as an automatic scheduler? Or do you think just an agreement with the client is enough and then just somehow tracking it down?
Yeah, so if for people that are just starting out, I would definitely recommend Google Workspace. And there you'll have your email, you'll have the drive, so you can keep all of these docs in one place. And you'll also have Google Calendar, so that you can search for you could search for the client's name and it will bring up all of their appointments. So that's like a really easy way to do it. And that's around £6 a month. If you wanted to get fancy and have a proper like scheduling system and an EHR, which is an electronic health record system, then I would recommend Power Diary. But there you're looking at around £8 a week. So until you've got, a good amount of clients, I don't think it's the right way to go. I don't think it's the thing you should go to straight away. Definitely Google Workspace, because that's going to help you set up procedures and things like that. When it comes to block bookings, there's only it is quite manual, regardless of how you do it. You can have a spreadsheet, you can use your Google Calendar, but you're going to have to keep track of the person who's had the sessions. That's why I'm saying if you invoice monthly, then what you can do, and you can do this upfront or retrospectively, you can invoice all your clients at like the end of the month for the following month, and then there's not as much tracking to do unless somebody cancels with notice and then you need to carry a session over. But most of the time it's going to just be, they're scheduled for weekly sessions, so they're going to have 4 sessions, they pay for 4, and then the next month they're going to have 3 sessions because you're off 1 week or something. So doing it like that, and everyone's invoiced at the same time, and it's just one task for you to do each month.
I hear you. Okay, I get it. Yeah. I think that's pretty much the questions I had, but I'm wondering, am I missing something? Is there anything that I am not seeing?
No, I think generally it's just about being organized. So you're doing that now anyway by thinking about all of the things you need to do, but definitely opening a separate bank account and starting to keep track of your expenses and your revenue as soon as possible, because it's going to make it so much easier for you when it comes to submitting your self-assessment, especially if you have a separate job as well, because you're already paying tax. You don't want to overpay tax because of that. So that's one thing I say. I'm going to give you my bookkeeping spreadsheet anyway, so that you can start with that. And then if you want to look at the Starling Business Toolkit or a different kind of actual accounting software, then that's all good too. And I would definitely recommend the Starling Business Toolkit if you're going to start. So if you want to like level up from a spreadsheet, and don't get me wrong, I have 2 limited companies now and I use Sage, but I still do the spreadsheet because I just find it so much easier to like look at a spreadsheet than a report with loads of fancy things going on. So yeah, so the spreadsheet will definitely help you like keep track of everything you're doing. And then yeah, just have a look, have a think about, if you get an expense, think about, am I using this for my business? So if you need to buy a printer, notepads and pens, you need to upgrade your laptop or buy headphones, all of those things you can expense because they're for your business. So as soon as you start as a sole trader, you are now a business and you can legitimately buy things for your business as an expense.
And at the time when we kind of report to HMRC, would you suggest, is it really complicated to do it on one's own? And would you suggest finding an accountant, or if things are well organized, it should be kind of straightforward? Yeah.
So there is like it looks like a humongous form, but realistically, if you don't have property, you're not getting insured, massive amounts of interest, you don't have stocks and shares. Yes, you do have another job, but they will already know that. So you don't actually need to fill much information in around that, because they already know. And I think from memory, I haven't had an employed job for a really long time, but I think from memory, they just ask you to confirm your take-home pay. It's something like that. It's quite simple. So you'll have like a P45, or I think it's P45, isn't it? Or is it a P60 that you get each year? One of those two. So you'll have that information on your like employment, what's it called, pay slips. Try and get my words out.
Are you then taxed on your profit, not on, so only like if you do the expenses and the payments, you're not taxed only on the payments, you're taxed on basically the profit you make. And that's if it's net zero or not, like a very small amount, that's the only thing that's then being taxed in addition to.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So as a sole trader, you are taxed 100% on the profit. So you have your revenue. So let's say that's £10,000, and then you have £6,000 worth of expenses. You are taxed on £4,000. So you would have to pay tax. So even if you took £2,000 out for yourself, let's say you needed to take £2,000 out, you're still going to be taxed on £4,000, even though you personally only took £2,000. So yeah, so you're taxed 100% on your profits. And obviously, because you're in an employment, they're going to take that into account as well. So they already know how much tax you've paid on your employment, and then you just need to pay the additional tax. So keep track of that as well, knowing kind of how much. I always just benchmark for about 20%. So whatever I earn in profit, I kind of save 20% of it for tax. Don't know if that's like 100% accurate, but it'll be around about. And then just note that you are going to have to pay that out, at the end of the year, even though you've got a little bit more time to pay it.
Yeah. Well, I think that's about it. I don't know if I am not seeing anything, something you can just tell me. But I think I've asked all the questions, and thank you so much for the amazing support documents you're sending out. They're really good.
You're welcome, and thank you so much. One thing I would say, just as a sole trader, I don't personally think you need an accountant to help you when you're a sole trader, but everyone is individual. So some people find accounts, as in like numbers and things, really easy, and some people find it super hard and stressful. So I think that's really individual, but actually I find it simple. Just once I've got all the information, filling out the self-assessment is very step-by-step, and it's guided, and you only really need to know what your revenue was and what your expenses are, and they'll do the rest for you. So I think it's really simple. So I would definitely say try it once yourself, maybe do it way before January, so that if you really struggle, then you can get some help. But I think I'm sure you'll be fine. I can kind of tell that you know what you're doing and what you're talking about. So I'm sure you'll be absolutely fine.
Thank you. Thank you a lot. Yeah, this was really, really helpful.
You're welcome. Thank you so much. Bye. I really hope you found that coaching session useful, whether you're just about to start in private practice or whether you've been in private practice a while. Just a reminder, if you're interested in the Sole Trader bookkeeping spreadsheet, I've left the link in the description below for you, and I'd love to see you at the co-working workshop in May. Thanks so much for watching.